Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to one and all listening to us today. Welcome to what is going to be the start of a new endeavor to hopefully bring some value to our lives and a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of insight, a little bit of, I guess, of a knowledge gain. This lovely, lovely quarantine that clearly just doesn't want to end. Um, Today, I'm joined by my co host, my most wonderfully talented cousin, Ali Hamid Zaidi. Please introduce yourself, brother.
Hello, everyone. This is Ali Hamid Zaidi, and welcome to the Ali Ain podcast.
That's right. We're calling ourselves the Ali Ayan podcast. And at this point, you know that it is, in fact, a podcast that we're standing. Do you want to, standing, that we're starting? Ali Hamid, do you want to maybe tell the audience why we decided to do something like this?
I guess the main reason is to basically tell those stories that not a lot of people tend to hear and gain a lot of, insight and experience from essentially hearing all of these people that are going to be on the show. Because as everyone has a story to tell, and well, we both love talking to new people every day and getting to hear them. So I guess this is our way of sharing that with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a firm believer in the fact that there is good in everyone and that there are struggles that everyone, however big or small they may seem to you, has to go through. And I believe that through struggles and life experience, everyone on earth has some sort of lesson and some sort of story to share wherever you may be from, however old you may be, as you're going to see from the diversity of guests and backgrounds that come on our podcast, inshallah.
Exactly.
Yeah, everyone has something or the other to contribute. And I personally believe that if we can tap into these stories and get these people to open up about their past, about their experiences, etc., 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 I think it would be for the good of all. I think that a lot of people can learn from the stories and the lessons that people from many of these different backgrounds, as I said, have to share. And
Yeah.
the simple reason being, you don't know what a person goes through just by looking at them, without speaking to them, without interacting with them. You don't know what gems a person may have to share. Maybe it was something that their grandparents once taught them. Maybe it was
Mhm.
something they learned on a journey in a faraway land away from home. Maybe it was
Exactly.
just something that they were sitting on the toilet one day and hit them like a semi truck. And they said, you know what? I reckon the entire world needs to know about this. Whatever it may be, this podcast is here for you. And so here's what initially, at least, I think is a starter's vision for this podcast. So there are a number of people that the two of us are familiar with that we would like to
Mhm.
invite, and we're going to be inviting. In fact, a bit of a retrospective scoop. We've already recorded the first episode of this podcast, and it's going to be coming out
Yep.
tomorrow. You wouldn't want to miss it. So there's a bunch of people that we are personally going to invite. There are a bunch of people, if you want to be very grammatically accurate.
Yeah.
And I believe once we've done our initial round of interviews, I firmly believe that we'll have gained some traction because I feel
Yeah.
that we both know what we're doing. And once we've gained some traction, what we intend to do actually is to start a sort of mailing list kind of service
Yeah.
where you guys, it's an inverse mailing list. So what we want to do is we want to open the floor up to anyone who listens to the podcast that wants to come on, that has a story to share, that just
Exactly.
wants
Yeah.
to talk and tell the world what they've been through, etc., etc. So essentially, y'all can write us an email, a couple lines, introduce yourself, tell us, okay, this is me, this is what I want to talk about, da, 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 da. Here are my talking points. Would you like to have me on the podcast? And obviously, we go through these applications, we'll review them, and in order of, I guess, appropriateness, we'll start inviting pretty much anyone that applies. To be honest, we're not very
Yeah.
constrictive with this. The reason we
we,
want to
we
start.
we really don't have any criterias when it comes to the people that want to come on. It can be from ranging from the school, someone going to school, who's in a college, who's in, doing their job, or is almost, retiring as well. We're welcome to all sorts of experiences on this podcast. So feel
Yeah,
free to
absolutely.
sign up and let us know what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. We don't segregate based on background or age, etc., etc. Where's the fun in that, to be honest?
Yeah.
I mean, we want to hear from all sorts of people. we think that in every 15-year-old, there's this 60-year-old residing deep into the dark corners of their heart that rarely likes to come out. And, on the flip side of the coin, in every 60-year-old, there's a 10-year-old, there's a 5-year-old, there's a 20-year-old that still has these crazy ideas and these youthful manifestations in their head that, sometimes they may be too scared to talk about.
Yeah.
And, what greater good could there be if we could have this sort of haven or
Platform.
space for people and platform for people to come on and talk about whatever it is they want to talk about, and if that inspires them and gives them the confidence necessary to execute on maybe ideas that they may have, or thoughts that they thought were not good enough. I feel that expression and reassurance, it goes a very, very long way when it comes to
Exactly. Yeah.
executing. Absolutely.
And feel free to come on and be yourself. We'll make this as comfortable as possible for you. Do not worry about that at all. I know there are a lot of people who have reservations on and hesitation when it comes to how comfortable they will be when recording with us or doing a podcast episode with us. Just feel free to come on up. We will help you. I will make you feel comfortable before we start recording and everything, so that you're very open and you're very okay with talking about your experiences, because that's what we feel is very important as well in our especially our generation, our community, that it's very important to be unified and equal.
Absolutely. And I think there's also a lack of, I guess, safe spaces and opportunities like this for more people to come on and express themselves. I mean, obviously, you could think that it's if you really want to play devil's advocate and if you really want to look at the nasty side of the coin, you could think that, maybe because of lack of traction or, excess time or whatnot, we're just opening the floor to anyone who wants to come and talk and publishing it. When, let me tell you, far from it. Both of us are, especially right now, both of us are incredibly busy individuals. I mean,
Yeah.
my university, inshallah, resumes in 10 days. End of the
I'm
semester.
working.
Absolutely. My co-host here is working 3 jobs. Maybe you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Let's just say like it's one's an internship at the moment, so it's gonna end on in 10 days, as Ali said. It's gonna end in 10 days, and I've got a lot of other jobs as well that I'm currently on a break from, because I wanted to spend some time, to myself and everything, which is very important as well. So yeah, it is going to be a very busy road for both of us. So please, bear with us when it comes to response and everything. Ali, do we have any hesitations about the type of topics we're going to talk about? Because there's going to be a lot of things to keep in mind, especially considering the region we're in.
Absolutely. So, I think it goes without saying for any mature individual who's been living here for any significant amount of time. First of all, we're not going to constrict ourselves to the UAE, but then it would be a good starting point to, base the entire thing in the UAE. And I think anyone who's been living here for even the littlest amount of time knows what is appropriate and what is not appropriate to talk about. Now, in terms of actual content, slang, mild swearing, this kind of stuff is tolerable to a degree, so long as you're not being excessive. I mean, if it is your natural persona to throw in the odd, swear word here and there, it's not a major issue. I mean, it is not a child-centric podcast. We're all grown-ups here, and most mild teenagers above the age of 13 anyway are familiar with the that could potentially be discussed and kind of things that could be mentioned. That is not to say that this is a mature podcast, not at all. In fact, we're allowing people to come and tell us the stories of their lives without going too explicit, which is why obviously we have the mailing list system that we want to set up. And, before that, obviously the initial stages, maybe the first 10, 15 odd interviews, there's a reason we're handpicking the guests, because we know who's going to come on and who's going to talk. But it's just common sense, and people, do not defile or otherwise insult the religion of the region that we're living in. Do not insult the leadership, because let's be honest, I mean, there is no point to it. God forbid, it's not like we're living in a tyrannical dictatorship of any sort. If anything, our leaders have done wonders to make
Wonderful.
the country.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Our leaders have done wonders to make this country habitable by so many individuals, especially now with a push on tolerance and a push on, inclusivity. They're genuinely trying to make it easier for individuals to, work and live here in peace. They're
Exactly.
increasing
Yeah.
priority on. In fact, Ali Hamid, did you know the UAE for a while now has had complementary family therapy for all citizens and non-citizens alike over here? They do give priority to citizens. A lot of the counselors are Arabs, but other than
Hmm.
that, I mean, for the longest time, people have had complimentary government-sponsored, subsidized family therapy over here, where individuals, couples, whole families can go to talk things out. I think
Yeah.
they're in the they've rolled out hotlines for people who are going through emotional trauma, suicide prevention, this kind of thing. So
Exactly.
it's
Yes.
nice to see, and of course, the UAE has had a child protective service hotline for many years now.
Many years. Yeah.
They started to publicize, a couple months to about a year or two ago. That's quite a wide range of time. I'm waffling at this point, but anyway, the point being here that the UAE, alhamdulillah, have been an excellent host for us. And,
Hmm.
the Almighty sees all this and appreciates all this, I'm sure.
Hmm.
May this country
Definitely.
reach greater heights. Absolutely. May this country reach greater heights one day. And, may it become even better and even more pleasant for expats and locals alike to live and thrive in, inshallah. I mean,
Inshallah.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it really. We're a podcast and our aim is to,
Open up
search for the
conversations.
undiscovered. Absolutely. Start conversations, and, just scrounge out and grind out those hidden gems and diamonds that I think each individual has within them to share and for some reason or the other hasn't been able to open up about to yet.
Yeah.
But absolutely, with our podcast and the way it is natured and the way it is geared, we intend to change that, and we intend to bring to the table a wide variety of stories from a wide variety of backgrounds, as we said. Don't be
Hmm.
shy to open up, to reach out. Again, obviously,
Yes.
as the
Please. Please
parents of
do.
this podcast, we will have a social media account dedicated to the podcast, but then we'll also have our
Yes.
own social media accounts. So, if you want to reach out, have any questions about the podcast, if you want to apply in the future, inshallah, there'll be an outlet for you guys to do that, maybe a Google form or something similar. If you want
Yes.
to just reach out to someone to have a chat, if there's something that you want to share, as I said, the goal is to be open, the goal is to be free, the goal is to be a safe space for
Safe
individuals to
space
reach
for.
out.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think Ali Hamid, you'll agree that this is not just limited to the podcast. People can reach out to us as individuals as well.
Yes, definitely, definitely. If you have any issues struggling within your life and you feel like, you need someone to reach out to, please feel free to reach out to us as well. And we will happily take some time out and dedicate ourselves to you. We may not be as quick with our responses considering how busy we are, but we will definitely make sure that we respond as soon as possible and make sure that you're feeling all right and feeling better.
100%. We really aim to push this idea of, humanity first with
Yes,
the
definitely.
podcast. That's why we've started the podcast in the first place, as we've highlighted.
Because
So if as an
humanity is
individual,
first. I mean, considering how things are in the world currently, around the world, everywhere, and especially like with the region that we're in, it puts humanity first. It puts tolerance first. So that should be our aim as well. We want to make sure humanity is first and always foremost the top priority when it comes to us, when it comes to you as people, and those who are going to be listening to us, as well as those who are going to be interviewed by us. Um, you guys will be the top priority regardless of your backgrounds and regardless of your cultures.
100%, 100%, no doubt about that. And yeah, that's it. Feel free to reach out to us on
Yep.
the podcast page personally if you want to talk. With peace and blessings being sent your way and lots of love. We do hope from the bottom of our hearts, in sincerity, that you guys enjoy what is to come. It has
Yes.
been your host number one, Ali Adnaan Raza, and host number two,
Ali Hamid Zaidi.
With love, wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.